2017 Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. We've seen some spills and thrills, and my guest right here, two-time PRCA World Champion, Hunter Cure. Hunter, thank you so much for coming to join us today, man.
Appreciate you having me on.
Man, we ran into each other last night, and you scared the bejeebers out of me in the middle of the casino. And so we ended up sitting together and watching round 8, and you know, us talking back and forth and some of the things that we saw in round 8, we've seen pretty much almost every round throughout the NFR and the timed events, and it raises a lot of questions.
Certainly does.
You know, and one of those things is the rough stock guys, if the livestock does not live up to the expectation to give the cowboy the chance, they get an automatic re-ride.
Certainly.
And I don't honestly think that has ever been talked about, minus between the contestants and the PRCA and other organizations. But talk to us about that, about how you think, I mean, especially with a tight world title race, you want to give everybody the opportunity.
Well, certainly, and I feel like that's a little bit of disparity between what the rough stock guys are allowed to do, in addition to, you know, in comparison to what the timed event guys have in front of them. You know, if a horse doesn't buck, stumbles, gets fouled at the gate, you know, numerous things can happen, but those guys will get a re-ride, have an opportunity to compete. For us timed event guys, for instance, last night in round 8, Tyler Wagon's back steer.
Yep.
As soon as the neck rope comes off, not only does he stop, but he stops and he steps right. That's an impossible steer to catch at this rodeo, much less really anywhere else. I mean, steers stop all the time, but when you don't even have an opportunity to catch one, because not only does he stop, but he goes right to where there's no chance to even get some body drag and slow the momentum of you from the horse down. It's just tough luck, and they just kick us right onto the curb and move on to the next man. And I really feel like that rodeo has a chance to progress and change a little bit, especially in completely unfair situations like that. And it may never change, but if we don't talk about it, you know, change can never happen.
Well, and it's what we talked about last night. I haven't ever heard or seen anybody talk about it outside of the contestants, so it's something that really needs to be brought to the forefront, and I'm happy to do that.
Certainly. One of the very few times that we ever have a chance to get a rerun, the steer will have to completely fall down, you know, to his belly while the neck rope is still on. And while that's an obvious call most of the time, about 50% of those calls don't go the Cowboys' way. So I'd like to see that rule be expanded a little bit, but also it's tough luck for a world champion like Tyler Wagon's back last night. So.
And something like that can really change whether they walk out with a championship buckle for a world title or even a go-around. And it's something that I feel really needs to be looked into.
Certainly. So right now, in the steer wrestling this year in 2017, the top 8 guys have all had a time on every single steer. Mm-hmm. So if you miss one steer right now, you're completely out of the average money, and with it paying over $60,000 to win the average this year, I mean, it's truly important. And you know, the guys in the rough stock, they get that opportunity if their horse doesn't buck and they just didn't have a fair shake at it, or you know, gets fouled at the gate. Nick Geistier last night turned his head, kind of went upward and into the chute, and then when the pusher shoved him out, then he's kind of hops. Well, he's not leaving and running like the rest. He completely runs through the barrier because the steer didn't, you know, almost like a horse, you know, fouling himself on the gate. It messes up the whole rhythm of how things are going, and he didn't have a fair opportunity either. And to me, that's one of those rerun scenarios that I feel like we could do better in the future.
Surely. And one thing I've noticed too throughout the performances is I've seen a lot of hind legs being dragged and times being extended due to that I haven't really seen in years past. What do you think is the reasoning for that?
Some of it is how much they feed the cattle here. If you would think that in comparison to a person who has a strict diet and you try to maintain those cattle at a certain weight all year long, and then when they get here, it's like a free choice buffet. So those cattle get really big in the belly and heavy in their midsection. And I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't jump near as high as, you know, when I'm full as when I'm not. So I don't think anybody goes and has a 7-course dinner and then goes and works out. And it's the same thing for the steers. They get fed so much here that their bellies are big, and it's also more of a health risk on them because they'll drag legs whenever they're full like that. So.
Okay, so that has nothing to do with the ground or anything that you think of?
No, more just the free choice buffet that they get here when they're here, because some of them almost look like they're pregnant by the time that this week's over with. So that plays into an effect.
Okay, then the other thing that we want to talk about is you know, you've had a start to 2018 already, and you're back going to be going full time. You're just getting over some health issues with pneumonia that kind of took you out for a while, but 2018 is going to be a great year. And what do you have planned to make it right back here to be able to compete at Thomas and Mack next year?
Well, I feel like that health-wise, to stay healthy, that I feel like I need to do a little bit better job of going to the gym. As soon as I get home, I'm going to sign up for some yoga classes, which is a little unorthodox for most rodeo cowboys, but I feel like that it's one area that I could improve on is get back to being a little more flexible. With steer wrestlers, we tend to want to be as heavy and as strong as possible, but I think there's also a blend of flexibility that I've lost on trying to get as strong and as heavy as possible. So I'm going to change that, and now that I've got not only my older horse that I won the world on twice, he's back sound now, but I've also got a young horse that I feel like's developed and ready, and he should be able to give the old horse some relief, and should be a bang combination between the two of them.
Awesome. I know you got some things to do and need to get over the sand, so thank you so much for visiting with us here at the Rodeo Roundup.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Hetland, 2-time world champion Hunter Cure, right before round 9 of the 2017 Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, live on the RodeoRoundup.com.